Welcome to Tech Talk Central, and welcome to The Debate. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Sarah. Today, we're diving into a pretty interesting comparison, looking at two popular photo inkjet printers, the Canon PIXMA Pro-200S and the Epson Expression Photo XP-8800. We're digging into the specs provided in the source material.
Right, and this isn't just about listing features, is it? The core of our discussion today really is what actually defines professional quality in a photo printer. We've got two quite different approaches here.
Exactly. So the big question is professional output all about, the maximum print size and having a specialized deep color system? Or is it more about achieving, say, super high resolution, speed, and having that all-in-one versatility for a smoother workflow?
And I'll be arguing for the Canon PIXMA Pro-200S. My position is that for truly professional work, especially in photography and graphic arts, that large format capability, coupled with a dedicated ink system, is paramount. It's about not compromising on artistic scope.
Okay, and I'll be taking the side of the Epson XP-8800's philosophy. I think it's focused on, exceptional resolution, integrated features like scanning and copying, and sheer speed offers a, frankly, more practical and effective package for many modern creative professionals who need top-notch prints but maybe don't need massive sizes all the time.
All right, well, let's get into our positions then. From my perspective, the Pro-200S is fundamentally a specialized tool. It's built around an 8-color dye-based ink system, which is explicitly designed for vibrant, high-fidelity photo output. And its primary advantage, as I mentioned, is scale. The ability to do borderless printing up to 13 by 19 inches. That's A3+. That directly supports the needs of photographers and artists who need to produce large-format exhibition pieces or detailed proofs. It's a dedicated print-only machine, focusing all its resources, its engineering, on hitting that maximum color print resolution of 4800 by 2400 dpi specifically for print quality. And, it manages this while maintaining a relatively compact design for what it does.
Okay, I see the appeal of specialization, but I think the Epson XP-8800 makes a really compelling case for, let's call it functional richness combined with superior detail. You mentioned the Canon's resolution, but the Epson actually boasts a higher maximum color print resolution, 5760 by 1440 dpi. That's technically a higher number for fine detail.
Higher in one dimension.
Right, but significant nonetheless. And crucially, this model is an all-in-one. You get a built-in scanner, a copier, it does auto-duplex printing on both sides automatically, and even handles things like CD printing. That makes it incredibly versatile for a dynamic workflow, Plus, it uses a 6-color Clariphoto HD ink system, which is known for great photo quality, and it is astoundingly fast for standard prints. We're talking a 4x6 borderless photo in as quick as 10 seconds. That just blows the Canon out of the water for quick proofs or small prints. And honestly, the practical aspects, it's much lighter, only about 14.6 pounds versus the Canon's hefty 32 pounds. Plus, it has a nice 4.3-inch color touchscreen and great mobile app support. It just feels like a much more practical, modern tool for many people.
Okay, so let's dig into that core trade-off then, this idea of ink depth versus resolution and this broader functionality. I have to challenge the notion that the Epson 6-color system, even with that higher DPI, truly matches the potential of the Canon's 8-color system for professional output. You have 8 discrete ink tanks in the Canon: cyan, magenta, yellow, black, plus 4 other specific colors in that set. Surely that inherently offers better color fidelity, smoother gradations, especially in tricky areas, compared to a 6-color system like Epson's Claria HD, which typically uses black, cyan magenta, yellow, light cyan, and light magenta?
Well, hold on. Raw color count isn't always the guarantee of superior output. Printhead technology, the driver software, the specific ink chemistry, it all plays a part. And as I said, the Epson does achieve that higher 5760 by 1440 dpi resolution. Plus, Those light cyan and light magenta inks in the 6-color Claria system are specifically designed to handle smooth gradations in skin tones and skies, which are, pretty common challenges in photography. For a lot of color work, they do an excellent job, potentially making some of those extra colors in an 8-ink system less critical than you might think. And let's not forget the practical side again. The Epson has scanning and copying. The Canon is just a printer. That's a huge value difference in a real-world workflow.
I'd push back on that. The value of those extra inks in the Canon system often includes dedicated gray inks, sometimes multiple grays. This is crucial for high-quality black and white printing. It allows for much subtler control over tones and avoids the kind of color casts or dithering you can sometimes get when trying to produce neutral grays using only CMYK plus light cyan and magenta. For serious monochrome work, that 8-color system provides a significant advantage in gamut and density control. It's about critical color control, not just good enough color.
That's a fair point, specifically for high-end monochrome printing. I'll grant you that. But that is a rather niche requirement, isn't it? For the professional photographer or designer who's also scanning old prints, making client mock-ups, needing quick document proofs, the sheer utility of the Epson's built-in features is massive. With the Canon, you're forced to buy and manage a whole separate device, a potentially expensive scanner, just to cover those basic workflow steps.
But separating those functions is often the point of specialized tools. And I have to question whether the scanner and copier integrated into the XP-8800 are truly professional grade. All-in-one devices inherently involve compromises. That built-in flatbed scanner isn't likely to match the dynamic range, resolution, or flexibility of a dedicated photo scanner that a professional demanding top quality would probably use anyway. So its inclusion feels more like a convenience feature for perhaps office tasks rather than a core professional photo utility. The Canon focuses all its engineering on the print path's integrity.
Okay, speaking of integrity and focus, let's talk about scale and media handling. I absolutely acknowledge the Canon's clear advantage in maximum print size, 13 by 19 inches. Even that panorama capability up to 13 by 39 inches is impressive, no doubt. But is that maximum scale capability worth the trade-off in day-to-day versatility for the majority of users?
For professional output, I argue yes, it absolutely is essential. Limiting your maximum borderless output to 8.5 by 11 inches, which is the Epson's limit, fundamentally restricts the potential for portfolio pieces, exhibition prints, even client presentations. The Canon handles ledger size 11 by 17, square 12 by 12, A3+. These aren't just fringe sizes, they are specific formats professionals often require. That capability defines professional scope for many.
But while we're on media handling and versatility, let's bring up something Canon explicitly lacks: automatic duplexing. The Epson XP-8800 does automatic double-sided printing. The Canon PRO-200S is simplex only, one side, period. Now, for anyone creating portfolios, bound proofs, client proposals, even just high-quality internal documents that need printing on both sides, the Canon is, crippled in that regard. You're sacrificing a really critical productivity feature just to enable that maximum print size, which, let's be honest, might only be used occasionally.
The lack of duplexing, though, is likely a direct consequence of prioritizing that print path precision. A duplexing mechanism adds complexity, requires reversing the paper path. That introduces potential for tiny misalignments, registration errors, especially with the kind of heavy, specialized fine art papers the Canon is engineered to handle perfectly on a single pass. The focus is entirely on the absolute integrity of that one printed side.
A robust defense, but it highlights the trade-off. That mechanical priority comes at a potentially huge cost in everyday productivity and speed, which brings us neatly to speed metrics. The Canon spec sheet lists a max speed of only 2 pages per minute. Even if we account for quality settings, that sounds incredibly slow for anything other than final art prints.
Okay, fair enough for A3+. But let's compare apples to apples on standard photo sizes. The Epson, a 4:6 photo in as little as 10 seconds. The Canon, 53 seconds for a bordered 8:10. That's a dramatic difference. If you're running a studio needing quick proofs, event photos, client handouts, the XP-8800 is just in a different league for speed and efficiency on those common tasks. which simply illustrates that the Canon isn't built for high-volume 4x6 output. Its design prioritizes the large format, high-density prints that inherently require a slower, more meticulous application of ink. You're comparing different use cases.
Perhaps. But let's also circle back to the physical reality. The Canon weighs 32 pounds. The Epson is less than half that, at 14.6 pounds. That significant weight difference makes the Epson so much easier to move, to fit into smaller studio spaces, maybe a home office setup. It's just more practical to integrate into different environments, compared to the Canon, which feels like a much heavier commitment in terms of space and placement. Plus, the Epson's usability touches, that touchscreen, the mobile apps, they make it feel more integrated into a modern workflow.
The convenience factor of the Epson is clear, I won't deny that. But the fundamental question we started with was about defining professional quality, and I still firmly believe the Canon PIXMA PRO-200S delivers on the non-negotiable requirements for a certain type of specialized user. That large format capability up to 13:19 is key, backed by the 8-color system designed for high-fidelity output, especially critical for demanding color or monochrome work. Yes, the user accepts trade-offs in speed and lacks those all-in-one functions, but that's because the absolute priority is achieving maximum scale and precise color depth control.
And I believe the Epson Expression Photo XP-8800 presents a more compelling overall package for likely a broader range of professional users today. You get that excellent raw resolution 5760 by 1440 DPI combined with genuinely useful workflow tools like scanning, copying, and crucially, automatic duplexing. All of this comes in a more compact, significantly faster device for common print sizes. For many, professional quality is best achieved through this balance. High-resolution prints up to a respectable 8.5 by 11, yes, but also the functional versatility and speed that accelerates the entire creative process, rather than sacrificing all that utility just for a maximum physical size that might be rarely needed.
It really does boil down to that definition, doesn't it? Is professional quality defined primarily by the ultimate physical scale and the nuances of an 8-color system, or is it defined by the combination of very high resolution, rapid output for standard sizes, and the seamless integration of other essential workflow functions? The specs we've looked at definitely show strong arguments for both design philosophies. It highlights two distinct paths manufacturers are taking.
Absolutely. These printers are really good examples of the kinds of technical trade-offs engineers make to target different priorities. And, there's probably more to explore in how they handle specific paper types, longevity of the prints, ink costs, lots more detail we could get into.
Definitely food for thought. Well, that's all the time we have for today's debate. To find the latest prices and deals on either of these printers, be sure to check out the links in the description below.
And if you found this technical discussion helpful, please consider subscribing to Tech Talk Central for more deep dives like this one. Thanks for joining us.